Alright, the crisis in 1997 and 1998 is not a factor which bring the improvement in the India's economy.
Okay.
India was stable during the financial crisis. The growth rate for agriculture and capital goods industry was increasing. Only the growth rate for industrial sector was decreasing during that time.
Okay.
This is because India had learned from the lessons drawn from its own financial crisis in 1991.
Oh.
So the short-term external debt was highly controlled, the current account deficit was manageable, and India also limited the exposure of financial intermediaries to stocks and also real estate, which reduced its risk. So there are four main factors of economic growth. The first one is market reforms. Government started to sweep away license rush and tariffs were also reduced. So it became easier for foreign companies to invest in India.
Yeah.
And the second factor is there are large numbers of skilled people, especially those who are highly educated, also contribute to economic growth. And India also founded its niche in the service sectors where government started to put more efforts in these sectors rather than other sectors. And the last one is there are also large number of labor force, which is around 467 million in 2009.
Wow, that's so large.
Yes, so this large number of labor force has actually attracted foreign companies to expand their manufacturers in India.
Okay. So that's the four factors that leads India to their economic booming. So now, what about China, Ms. Afina? What are the factors that leads to China's economic expansion?
Thank you, Ms. Hani. Well, as I said before, the Asian financial crisis is not affect the China.
Okay.
The other factors are because China pursued capitalism with a communist political system.
Yeah.
And there was a rapid growth in both export and import. As you can see, there's a dramatical increase from 1985 until 2006.
Yes.
The blue one is the Chinese import to the US, and the black one is the US export to China.
Okay, so in other words, US exports tremendous products from China.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And the next factor is promote competitiveness by following an exchange rate policy design. At first, China implemented the fixed currency, but then in 2005, they changed it to the floating currency. So you can see the increasing amount against the dollar.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing is even China also invested heavily in physical infrastructure, and there's expansion in education and technology also.
Okay.
And the last one is the urbanization also increased in speed, and the United Nations has forecast that China's population will have about an equal number of people staying in rural and urban areas by 2015.
Well, that's true because I remember China just hosting an expo, 2010 expo that involved architectures, build their pavilion
from all around the world.
Yes, from around the world, and the theme is urban, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing is because of China became market-oriented economy, so the government allowed farmers to control their own plots of land, private rural enterprises, and China also welcomed hundreds of billions in private foreign investment. As you can see in the graph, there's a huge increasing since 1992. Well, when there's a law of Sino, when China welcomed the foreign investment. The next thing is China also private urban entrepreneurs and privatized urban dwellings, privatized many state-owned enterprises, and China also has two stock markets.
Wow, that's interesting how China has reformed. Now, Ms. Sakura, what about your country? How Japan? What are the factors that lead Japan to their economic booming?
Okay, first talking about the 97-98 crisis, right? The Asian economic crisis did very affect the economy of Japan. In fact, the economic growth of Japan after the crisis is just stagnant. And economists call this as a lost decade because it took some years, in fact, a lot of years for Japan before the economy recovered from the crisis. However, the economy is still developing, and one of the factors of the development is Kiretsu.
What is Kiretsu?
Kiretsu refers to the relationship between the suppliers, manufacturers, and also distributors, where they work closely as a group.
Oh, I see.
So Kiretsu in Japan means series or subsidiary. It is a system that integrates large group of companies with major Japanese bank with strong business relationship. And the exporting activities by Kiretsu members was supported by Soga Social, which acts as a trading company in Japan. Talking about the trading scenario in Japan, Japan has experienced imbalance trading, which is they heavily export but they restricted import into the country, which resulted in surplus in economy. This lead Japan to become one of the richest nations in the world. Another factor is productivity growth. This refers to the ability to achieve more output per unit of input, which is economies of scale. Yes, Japan is able to have this economies of scale because of their growth in national income as well as growth in output from individual companies, and also due to the geographic concentration. And improvement in social capacity for importing and adapting foreign technology also one of the factors that lead to growth in productivity. And one thing about Japan is that they are very competent in technology. If you can remember back to the 1950s after the Korean War, Japan invested their financial growth into institutions such as education instead of military. And as a result, it made them leading in the technology 20 years later, which is 1970s. And the history of technology of Japan is very interesting. And considering the surplus in economy, Japan actually has their own fund to pursue innovation in technology, research and development, and that's why now Japan is one of the leading nations in the fields of scientific research, technology and machinery. And last but not least is the Japanese distinctive way of coupling. Way of coupling here refers to a connection between two things so that they move together. In this case, it is the government and also the private firm.
So the government coupled with the private firm.
Yes, both of them has a distinct role in Japan, in developing the economy of Japan. So the idea is private ownership of assets will couple with conservative policy-spirited management, while government will play their role in taking account of the social and economic context in selecting and nurturing industry that they think is crucial for the growth of Japan's economy. So in this way, the focus of development in Japan is different between years to years. If I can share with you, the focus of development in Japan in 1960s, it is on chemicals, iron and steel, shipbuilding and transistor radios. But in 1970s, the focus on automobiles and electronics, and in 1980s, the focus shifted to computers, computer chips, and other high technology industries.
Okay, so that's interesting. So they have shifted their focus, and that's why one of their strategies